right, we're live and in color. This morning, I want to share a little bit with you. I've spent many years preaching doctrine and things like that, and I promise you, we got it in the can. We're going to get back on some doctrinal things, but I believe that you can have a right doctrine and a wrong heart and not have the ability to get your well done. You can know the things, but knowledge, we got to move on to where that word becomes flesh and dwells among us. And I've told you what Yahweh was going to do in this book. And so I said, hey, I don't know what next year's going to look like. I know I'm going to be here. There's other people I hoped to be here. But I realized that there is a separating from the wheat and the tares. I told you the last time, the end of the age, that there's going to be a great separation. And people will have excuses and reasons and all that. And so, but the fact is, God separates. And so I want to survive the cut. How about you? And so, as as we walk through these things, I told Kim and Johnny this morning, I was like, man, this book got some weird chapters in it. But the fact is, I believe that everything does work together for my good because I love the Lord and I'm called according to His purpose. That is a landmark anchor for my soul, for my emotions, and for my will. I believe it. A lot of people say they believe things. It's just like they don't agree with something like church. But the fact is, what they're really doing is they're not agreeing with God. Or they don't agree with tithing. Well, you're really just not agreeing with God. It isn't a church thing. It's just, we say we believe, and like I told you last week, the reason that people have the ability to just rob from God or rob from one another. They don't assemble and all, because they think there's no consequence. And I think this is what I think Yahweh told me a couple of weeks ago. I think that they really aren't sure if this is really true or not. And so what you don't want to do, you don't want to, what if it's not true and you could have done this with your life and you're going to say, man, I wish I'd have done that because it turned out this isn't true. Well, if the Bible isn't true, it ain't going to matter what you did or didn't do anyhow. You'll be dead. But what I'm saying is, I believe that even though we have the knowledge of the Scriptures, there has to be a faith and a true belief in things. If I were to tell you right now that I was going to throw this laptop at you, then if you believed me, you would duck. But if you didn't believe me, it wouldn't cause any counteraction. And I believe a lot of the reasons people don't have counteractions because they just don't really believe that. I'm talking about down in here. I think in our head knowledge, well, okay, God is this, God is that. But so what we have to do is, I think that Yahweh's trying to work on our ability to believe, that we have really faith, and it don't come about very easily. Have you ever said this before? Yahweh, whatever it takes, I want to get my well done. And then but before you got it out of your mouth, you stopped a minute. Lord, whatever it takes, I'll lose everything. Whoa. We don't really want to say that because if God really is real, you're afraid He may do something to you, take away your money. Kind of a Job kind of deal, We're like, make your future won't be so secure and all that kind of stuff. So we want to back off a little bit just in case that is true. We don't want God to do that. And so it's quite a dilemma when we have a belief system that we don't really believe when it comes right down to it. Then we don't understand why we don't get the full God result. I think God responds to us in the amount that we just respond to Him. If we halfway do something for God, He'll halfway do something for us. So I kind of think that's where we're at. We're 50-50 right now with God, really. So, but Yahweh still has His plan, and this is what He will do. Listen. Next. I heard a guy recently talk to me. He was raving about how this church he was going to, how great it was, and man, they just got 5 services and all this kind of stuff. And I've said, it's a good thing that Paul isn't preaching there or Yahshua isn't preaching there, because people peddle something to keep you at the 50 mark. Just enough of this and just a lot of that. But just enough, we want to be moral and things like that. And that's what's happening in the world. The fact is, you know what? God is committed to helping you get a well done. If that's not your goal in life, you may not get it. And so when you tell people that, they make a choice usually. Oh, okay, I don't want to get it then. I say fair enough. So, I came up with this book thing because I really believe it was something true, and I wish I never started this book. But the fact is, that book was started the day I was born. I just didn't keep up with it like this. I wasn't watching closely like I do now. So the fact is, when Bevy died, I want to tell you, I got caught off guard. It affected me, I guess, evidently in ways I couldn't even recognize. I have buried people, ministered to people. I mean, the dead, been around death, all funerals, hospitals, people dying. I've been around that all my life, basically, and I've spent my life trying to help people do that. But it's different when you experience it personally. Now, I know Yahshua was touched by the feelings of people's infirmities, but you know what? When you get into the same shoes that somebody gets, it's something more than just a cliche term, I'm touched by the feelings of your infirmities. You really know. You really know once you can get through whatever it is, because it just wrecks your mind, I guess. The fact is, that devastated me. I don't think I was good in showing that. I don't think that I was good in I don't know. I just don't know. I think I would maybe try to grieve differently somehow, if that even what that is. I think if you have to try to grieve, then you're not. And when you are grieving, maybe you grieve in ways you don't even realize that's grieving. Does it make sense to anybody? Probably not. I've had many conversations with Yahweh about her death. Many. And this is my end result. I'll never have her again in my life, but I did have her for 45 years. You know what I mean? So there's a balance there. Okay, Johnny, look, you got to deal with life. I still don't like what happened. So my desire for you today is that none of you would ever have to go through this, but I hate to tell you, you will. You're going to go through death. I was talking to my sister the other day, I was like, to have a child die, to me, that's like, I don't know. To have your child pass away, I don't know. I don't know that, but I know what it is to have a wife pass away now. I had relatives pass away. I think it's devastating. And so what I am as an empath, I'm an empath. Did y'all know that? Look it up before you think I'm crazy. I'm empathetic. I'm a very empathetic person. So my heart and desire for us today is I want to share something about myself and over the years and my desire to always be growing. Now, I apologize for talking about me today, but guess what? I know more about me than anybody else. I can use Irwin as an example if you want me to, or I can use Shar or Joel, but I'm going to give you a little experiences then I think will not only help you, but it can help us as we come together and we're working out our salvation with fear and trembling. You know, of course, everybody thinks that Jesus is fixing to come back because Trump's over there blowing people up. And, you know, look, Yeshua could come back anytime. He don't need Trump to blow up somebody for him to come back. You understand? And the things the Bible predicts may be things that we don't even know about or see. And we wouldn't even know about that if it wasn't for media. I'm learning to not, I don't want to know about a lot of stuff anymore, really, to be honest with you. I always think it's important that we should always be wanting to grow and to always be changing. Understanding people and helping people has been something that I have done really all my life. Even as a little boy and a teenager, as feisty or whatever word you want to use that I always had this thing in me for like the underdog or for people that were maybe getting picked on or something like that. So over the years, you have to, if you want to help people, you have to understand and recognize behavioral patterns and what people are going through. You know, psychologists have named so many things. You know, they put it in this, and it's kind of like the astrological signs. It's pretty close, you know, when they say something like, "Oh, you must be a," what's the mean one? No, what? Huh? No, hey, y'all, quit telling us your spouse's sign. What's the one that the mean one? The mean one. I'm starting marital problems here. Okay, whichever was the real mean one, you know. And but anyhow, okay, we'll line up and counsel here for a minute. So what I'm saying is it's pretty close of how that goes, and I've taught on that some, and we'll talk about it later. But I know the body of Christ is different, and we all have different personality types, and we all have psychological things differently. But the thing is, when you try to help people, it's not just going in there and say, okay, say I'm sorry. One of the things I hated when I was a kid is my mother and daddy would make us hug and kiss to make up. Y'all remember that? I saw one time where this guy, he'd put his two kids in the same T-shirt and make them walk around together all day. And I mean, that's pretty good stuff. But what you have to understand who a person is, what they're going through, and that's called discerning of spirits, maybe. I think one thing we should all learn about, you can look into a person's past, how they've dealt with things. It's a good indication. But how many of you thank God that He's able to deliver us from our past and we don't have to live there? Anybody but me? And so a lot of people, when you address them with something, they will never admit it. They can't, for whatever it is, who they are and their defense mechanism and all that. They can't admit it to anyone. And most tragically, when you can't admit something about yourself, you will never deal with it. You know, I don't think it's fair for alcoholics. When you say to alcoholic, the first sign of being an alcoholic is to deny it. Are you an alcoholic? No, you are one. I mean, how do you win that fight? So I'm talking about the human nature and the psychology of who a person is. So I want to always continue to grow and to change. You know, I will change a car in a minute. I've done pretty good with this one. I will change my doctrine. Somebody one time accused me of they threatened me. You know, I'm going to go public with blah, blah, blah. I said, what are you going to tell people? I tell people their mama didn't go to heaven. What could be worse than that? I said, then we got the church name. When I started one of the phases in this church, I don't want to have a church anymore. We call it the Elijah Enterprise. I was done with church. I didn't know why I was done with church, but I knew I didn't want nothing to do that anymore. But so finally, I remember at my house one night, bunch of people over there, and they came up with this name, the Church Triumphant. I loved it because when I was a kid, Dottie Rambo wrote a song, The Church Triumphant. I was able to even talk to Dottie Rambo one time. I met her, and I told her how much that song, I loved that song as a kid. And so here we are. We named the Church Triumphant. It was Praise Church. I mean, we had different names, and I tried to keep the name in beat with where we were as an ecclesia. And so then I found out my whole beliefs changed about what happened when you die, because I found out the Bible said, and that meant, and when I found out that the word Church Triumphant was a term for all the people who died and gone to heaven, I'm just saying, you have to change. You have to be willing to change. And the hardest thing to change is to admit to yourself. So I want to talk about this. I believe it's going to help us today. In the midst of all things that happen, I still am the shepherd, under shepherd, and I have to help protect the sheep. But so a lot of the ways you can learn things, and I'm not big into psychology, but I'm going to tell you what, if you're going to try to counsel somebody, or you're going to try to help somebody, and you don't understand personalities and all that kind of stuff, you're trying to attack something way above your pay grade. There's people, unless the Spirit of God somehow can teach you, your experience in your life may not be enough to help a person where they are. But you can help yourself. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Left brain, right brain, we've heard it all of our life, Left brain people, what they do, they use logic, they're detail-oriented, they're facts rule of their lives, they big on words and language. The present and the past is big in their minds. Math and science, they comprehend things, they like to know things, they have order and pattern, they're reality-based, they have strategies, they're practical, they're usually safe. That's left-brainers. Right-brain people, now this is general, okay? Uses feeling, they're big picture-oriented, they use their imagination, they like symbols, they're very visual, they like the present and future, they look future. They're into, instead of math and science, they're more philosophy and religion oriented and bent. They get it. They believe, they appreciate. A lot of them are fantasy based. They're like dreamers, visionaries. They know how things function. They're presenting possibilities with faith. They're impetuous too, and they are risk takers. So I want to talk to you about not the right side of the brain, but the right side, what the right side of the brain can help you physically control. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another person is a word called empathy. An empath is somebody who has the ability to understand, and they can share the feelings and the infirmities of others. Caring for other people. Having a desire to help other people. Experiencing emotions that match other people's emotions. They cry, I cry. They laugh, I laugh. Knowing what that other person basically is thinking and feeling, and having compassion for that, and desiring to help that. So much that there's a blurred line that comes between you and that other person. You just want to just be part of them and help them. In my experience in life, a lot of people, I was going to say most people, but a lot of people aren't good at that. They're not good at being empathetic. Now, there are experts in sarcasm. There's some great gossipers. It's easy to be negative and critical and consumed at thinking the worst of everybody else. I tell you what, that's something, as empathetic as I am and have been, I still had that left side of me that can be very critical of people. But when you use the word empathetic, it always seemed very weak to me. I had this self-conscious comfort that a little unease when somebody said that. I was like, man, you got to be a man, you got to be hard, you got to be tough. Touchy-feely kind of thing, But I'm going to tell you that this empathy stuff isn't really a right brain activity. It is in the root of it, but what it really is the fruit of the Spirit. It's the part of your brain that operates the desire of your heart in a balanced way. And so as your fruit matures, then the aspect of your character and the way Yahweh built you is functioning at a higher power, so to speak, by a higher power. So when Yahshua is not the Lord of your life, anybody know what the word Lord means? I don't hear anybody preach Jesus is Lord anymore, do you? It's the word Greek kurios. It means Lord. He's the boss. He's your Lord. We don't understand that terminology in America. I don't think people understand spiritual authority or things like that. But that part of the brain, when Yeshua is the Lord of your life, that part of your body begins to, without Yeshua, the Spirit of God, Christ in us, then we become imbalanced, I think. We become unbalanced, imbalanced, and we suffer. What I suffered from really as I became a hyper empathetic. I think the correct word might be super. I didn't want to use super. I had hyper empathy. At its core, I do know that to be empathetic for other people is the oil that keeps a relationship running smoothly. I don't know about you, but I have said I'm sorry when I didn't even do anything wrong. Somebody, I didn't do that. Yeah, I know, left-brainer. I knew a man in Baghdad, Florida, when I first was married in 1980, the youth pastor of a church there. This man was just a hard-working electrician. He had some property, property that he grew watermelons on up in Jay, Florida. And back in the 80s, they struck oil up in West Florida. And he went from just a watermelon electrician to a lot of money. Him and his wife were some of the most wonderful people. His name was Clyde Carroll. I love those people. You know what? It's easy to love people that love you, isn't it? Man, they love me and Bevy so much, and we loved them. This is before we had kids or anything. And man, and after we left and moved to Ocala, he had a serious brain tumor. They did the surgery. He gets out and he's living at home. So I was on my way to Oklahoma one time. I got invited to be part of it was a Word of Faith thing with Billy Joe Daugherty, Oral Roberts, Copeland, Hagan, all those guys. I got invited to join. I forget what it's called. When I stopped at their house to spend the night, and Yahweh told me, you turn around and go back. I do not want you part of that denomination. They didn't call it, that's what it was. So actually the guy that kind of recruited me, he became a friend of me today. He's still my friend. I went there to spend the night, and his sweet little wife, and he was such a sweet man, pulled me aside. She said, Johnny, since that surgery and that brain tumor, Clyde is not the same. I said, what do you mean? He said, man, it was on the right side of his brain. And those things, even though if you have damage on the part of the brain that's associated with that empathy, then what it will do, it will show these significant deficits in relationship skills. Even though their reasoning and their learning remained left brain, he got hit in the head. He got a tumor and damaged that part of his head, and it changed his ability to be empathetic. And he was one of the most empathetic. So I know that there is a physiological thing that happens. I've seen it happen to, that kind of thing happen to several people in my life, brain tumors. But I think to be empathetic is so important if you're going to have a successful relationship. What it does, it allows you to have the opportunity to create these bonds of trust. And to have any relationship work, you got to have a bond of trust with the other person. It gives us insights. And you care about what others may be feeling or thinking. And especially when the manifestation of the Spirit called word of knowledge and discerning of spirits kicks in and energizes that right side of your brain. Now all of a sudden, guess what? You are just feeling what people feel. You get these insights. You can discern what they're at. It helps us understand how or why others are reacting to situation. You know, and you can resolve it with cooperation. I think it's one of the greatest sharpening for people skills, and it helps us inform our decisions in relationships. Somebody asked me recently, he said, well, how do you think all this going on in your life is going to affect you helping people that are married? I said, I think I'm going to be way better at it. I'm going to be way better at it. A formal definition of empathy is this. It's the ability to identify and understand another's situations, feelings, and motives. It's our capacity to see people in the ecclesia's concern. It's being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. It's the ability to see things through somebody else's eyes. It's kind of like Matthew 22:37. This is what it said. Yahshua said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like that, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. I got to tell you, for true relationships to happen, we have to love others as we love ourselves. But if you don't love yourself, you'll never really love others. And I don't want to get into all that this morning. I've preached on this stuff for years. The ability for us to imagine myself, this is how I'm really overkill at this, to put myself in somebody else's position. I went somewhere the other day, and these people were grumpy, man. I mean, there's some grumpy people working at this place. And I said, you never know what a person's going through. I said, you never know. People are going through stuff all the time. And I have this imagination. I want to know, what they're feeling. I wonder what they're going through. Is it a death? Is it a relationship? Is it a child sick? What is it? I've always loved the study of people and their personalities and the way they live. And what makes that person tick? I loved creating relationships. I love to care for others. I'm not boasting in me. I want to give you an idea about ecclesia life. It's very difficult for an immature believer, but it's absolutely imperative if we're going to fulfill the purpose of Yahweh in His new creation people, ecclesians. I think as the more we mature, it makes us understand humans. Number one is because we are one. But if you can't understand who you are, then you're gonna be confused about everything else. You're gonna think. My brother told a man this one time who was saying something about me, and he said, "Look, the reason you think that about Johnny is because you think Johnny's like you, but he's not, and you're gonna judge everybody because you're gonna think everybody is like you." You say, "I don't do that." Yeah, you do. All humans do. It doesn't mean we have to agree with everybody or we have to please everybody. Rather, just consider other people's feelings, along with other factors in the process of creating the spirit of unity and the bond of peace. I'm going to tell you what happens in the ecclesia. It's the same thing that's going to happen at the judgment day. This is what Yahweh will say: "Depart from me." People that aren't willing to serve God. Now, let me tell you this. If you sin, if you do, and that's the thing, if you do, then you can confess it. You have to agree with it. You have to say, "Yes, I did it. I agree it's wrong." And then Yahweh said He'll forgive you and wipe it away out of His memory, and everything else will never be held against you. But if you sin willfully, it's a whole nother deal. After sinning willfully, so you say, "I don't get my well done." If you're not doing it willfully, not that you're not, you don't sin because something, it's because you enjoy it, at some level. But if you're trying, honestly trying, if you're working out your salvation with fear and trembling, if you're walking that road and you really mean it, now if you really mean it, something's going to change. If you sin willfully after coming to the knowledge of truth, there is no more sacrifice for you. Buddy, let me tell you what you got to do. You got to quit doing it. That's the only way you get forgiveness, is when you stop it. So what happens, this is a general rule. This is how God operates. If you don't do what He's called you to do, the day will come when He will say, "Depart from me." Or if you don't bear enough fruit, after a period of time, guess what He'll do? He'll cut your branch off. I think if people would tell people that, and if people really believe that, I think we'd have more power in the earth, in us too. The patterned son, Hebrews 4, I quote this all the time: "Touched by the feelings of our infirmities." Touched by the feelings of our infirmities. I want to tell you why. Because that's who I have been. It's limited until you have really been touched by the feelings of their infirmities by experiential knowledge. You don't know till you've been through it. So where does it come from? Is it just a emotional process of thinking? Are we just born that way? Do right brain people have it and other people don't? No. I'm not. What I'm speaking of is a mind that is being renewed by the Spirit Word. You see what I'm saying? If you're all left brain, the Spirit of God will adjust that out too. We can talk left brain later. I'm more of an expert on right brain. Other people have a more experience on being left-brained, for lack of better terminology. So we need the manifestation of the Holy Spirit to understand another person's thoughts, another person's feelings, reactions, concerns, motives, because if you don't, you, sir, will become a casualty yourself. And you look at me because I is one. I told you many times, one of the biggest regrets I've ever had in the ministry is to opening my home and my children and my family to people that I should have never done it to. Listen close. I never should have. But yeah, I love them, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to help them. I can help this guy. I can help him. I want to think about everybody's perspective and begin to understand where they're coming from and the care. I know what the ministry is, but I want to warn us today. You're not going to always agree with people, and we need to change our position. We need to remember they're human. They know they're going through the same things. So I understand all of that. And there's all kind of things you can work on and get it fixed. And I know it's called the fruit of the Spirit. So, but what I want to do, I want to get right into something, because I told you this is an open book test. We have got to beware. See, your strengths and your weaknesses are the same characteristics. So my empathy over the years has been such a strength. But at the same time, it's been a horrible enemy. You know, somebody was accusing me about that I'm a ranter and I yell and all that. So it's really funny. When people bring accusations, those kind of people are usually using the storyline of their own autobiography, if you know what I'm saying. And so the thing is, my daughter Misty was telling me one day, she said, you know, I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice toward Bevy. 45 years, never raised my voice. Well, that's not true. I have raised my voice at Bevy. We have argued before. Ranter, that ain't me. Years ago, I got infected by this disease. It's a syndrome. It's called KADHS. And have you ever heard of that before? Kicking a dead horse syndrome. I'm the author of this. Oh yeah. You know. That you want it for somebody worse than they want it for themselves. Anybody ever had that before? If it's just temporary. What exposed me to this disappointing, life-draining disease was the ignorant, maybe arrogant, yet sincere belief that I could help and or fix anybody and everybody. Don't you know how many people I've helped? Don't you know what I can do? I can help them. Know what? Bring them to me. That's utter arrogant stupidity. But I want to help them. I can help them. Let me help them. It's like, look, give me that. Hand me that. Let me do this. I learned as I got older, what you do is you pretend you can't do it, and somebody like me will go over there and take that thing away from you, and they'll do it, and you just sit back there and let them. I tell you what, and being in the ministry, man, trying to build a church and all those kind of things, I mean, it's certainly contributed to my case of WKRP, isn't it? KADHS. I'm sure. Excuse me. I'm sure. I'm fixing to lose my notes here. That you intelligent people And all of the thousands and thousands of KADHS survivors know how stupid it really is to be that way. I got to tell you, I want to say I finally learned my lesson, but I don't know. I'm working on it still. But thanks to Yahshua, the pattern son, he's come out with this, he has this health shake. Anybody have drink health shakes? Anybody drink that? It's available now. I mean, you can get your order in right now. And the slogan is Matthew 10:14, shaking the dust off your feet. It's making a clean break from a situation or person that has systematically rejects you or your message. It represents abandoning further reproductive effort, leaving judgment to God and moving on, carrying the burden of that without carrying the burden of that rejection. Hallelujah. Let me tell you what those kind of people are doing. You can get free of this syndrome and be guilt-free. The product ain't free, but it can be guilt-free. You heard it right, friends. Get it today. Yahshua's health shake. Hey, listen to this. No more toxic, unappreciative, or hostile situations. Letting go of offenses and bitterness or the need to force a result. I can help. Let me help you. Let me help you. Please. I can do it. No, I can help you. I can help you. No, you can't probably. Recapturing your peace and joy. That's right, friend. Call today. Let me tell you what Yahshua's wisdom is. He said, wipe the feet or dust your feet from the, no, shake the dust from your feet and walk away. There are people you've been preaching the gospel to till you're blue in the face. Now, don't use it as an excuse because you don't want to tell nobody, but some of you, they keep doing, well, they don't believe it. They don't understand it. Guess what? Get your health shake today. If your heart's wrong, it's different. You've done all you can do, baby. Look. And if you act now, you'll receive a free pair of sandals made in the Holy Land. Thank you very much. Get your free pair of sandals today. Oh, no. I hate when things pop up. There it is. See, being overly empathetic or having hyper empathy, this is what it'll happen if you're not careful. You'll absorb other people's emotions. You'll absorb their stress. Their physical pain is your own. You may not believe this. Maybe it's not even true, but to me it was true. I would get sick, and I felt like it was some kind of intercession where I was experiencing maybe the sickness of somebody else. I'd be praying for somebody, and I want to tell you, but I'd find out they have these symptoms. I said, what's going through? I'm like, that's happened to me a few times. Was it real? I don't know, but I want to tell you what, whether that's real or not, I know that I have absorbed the stress and the physical pain of others because of my empathy. So let me tell you what, I have many, 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 many friends who want a church so bad and want people to like them so bad, and they'll kiss that butt so bad, and they won't. They're running around like that. I haven't been like that. And then they become emotionally exhausted. Their lives are full of anxiety, and they have this. They call it burnout. How do you burn out from serving God? I'm telling you how. They get this burnout. It's like somebody, how can you be a pessimist and know the gospel of the kingdom? How can you be pessimistic about our future? How can a believer be unhappy? I'm not talking about with circumstances. I'm talking about knowing what we have. So I got to tell you something. This is a new thing for me. I mean, this is probably, I think when Bevy died, I began to take a shift. I told you all about it. The way I said it then was like, I'm going to live like there's not another day. We're not promised another day. I may have went overboard with that. But when you lose your personal boundaries, you often feel responsible for fixing other people's problems. If my phone rings on the golf course, I hold my breath. If my phone rings early in the morning, I hold my breath. Or late at night, I hold my breath. Because I don't get good messages like that at that time of day. So what you do is you can become codependent and have codependent relationship and chronic feelings of being overwhelmed because we have to bear one another's burdens, but you also have to bear your own burden. And so what people do, they don't mind putting it on you either. You open the front door, they'll just start back like a dump truck up there and put all their problems on you and everything. They'll just put it on us. You can feel other people's emotions, their anger, their anxiety, their sadness, as if it's your own. Now, I know some of y'all ain't knowing what I'm talking about because you already got the door shut. We got to balance it out too, so we can let this ecclesia be pleasing to God, to love Him and our neighbor. I lock the door at my house at night. Anybody else do that? I got 2 neighbors on each side. You don't want them just walking in any time. Their problems aren't your problems. But when you're an empath like me, I can help. Like a golden retriever. Golden retriever, if you got one, I apologize. They're the dumbest dog I ever seen in my life. I found one day and I gave it to Dick Brinkley's brother. And he was sitting and I think me and Dick took it to his brother. And he was sitting up there and, I think we were in that blue truck thing you had. And so every time you go down the road, there's lines, white lines, that dog would say, at every single line. I look, Dick's doing it too. I don't know what. No, but I was like, no, but I mean, let me tell you what happened. They will drain you emotionally, physically get sick and tired after being around distressed people. Now, you're going to have distressed people, and we want to love and help distressed people, but I'm telling you, probably the number one thing that has hurt me most in the ministry isn't my testimony or the way I've lived my life, but what I've allowed people to come into my life. I'll probably drug them there. Oh, come on, I love you. I can help you. Yeah, let me help you. Give my life to them. And I've repented to my family already about all the years and all the people who come through who don't care. And you'll want it for them more than they want it. We got a new member, no person come in. Johnny, why don't you greet everybody? Well, I'm going to tell you what, I don't know if I want to get close to them or not. I don't know if I want to be their spiritual father or not. Yahshua even said, get me out of here. Where's the boat? And let me tell you what else Yahshua said. Once he stopped giving them stuff, once he stopped feeding them and healing them and doing all that stuff, guess what they did? They left him. This is not a new message for me. This is what the ministry can do, and empaths like me. It's not the ministry, it's who I am. And I have mistaken it for ministry. I don't regret it because there are many, many people down through the years that I have relationships with to this day. Even ministry friends, I found out if you don't support their agenda, guess what? They won't even talk to you no more. Oh my God. You can feel compelled to solve everybody's problems and try to relieve their discomfort. I've done that. Are you boasting of that, Johnny? No, I wish I hadn't have done it. I'm confessing it this morning. I'm telling you I was wrong. Not to care for them. Not to love them and do everything that you can for them. I'm talking about being an empath and mistaking it for love in ministry. You can waste your love on the wrong person. I've done it many times. Pay their mortgages. Don't get any ideas. I remember Wellens Field, drain field, gave his wife a car. I mean, I could go on and on. Are you boasting of that? No. I'm trying to explain to you about what my heart is. Have you been taken advantage of? No, I did it because I wanted to, and I genuinely love them. But I'll tell you, I haven't been that smart because I did not guard my family the way I should have. And I'm mad at myself for that. I don't know if you could do it, but I was so busy trying to help other people. Now, all my kids are in church. All my kids love me. I think that says something. When your kids believe in you, when your family comes to church, when usually the people in your family don't want to go to your church, maybe. See, I would struggle to separate my feelings from other people's feelings, and may not know where your feelings end and theirs begin. I would carry this home with me at night. I would lose sleep over this. I would pray and I would cry. And guess what I found out they were doing? They're on a cruise. I'm there with a gun to my head. I'm like, what? I remember years ago, I thought I learned this years ago, I didn't. I learned all about doctrine and stuff. I know a lot about the Bible. We was at the old Praise Church building. We played office back then, had an office in that old building, had a secretary. And so people would come in, and these women would come, the church would come in, and all of them was married to the same guy, Ty. The devil! They come in, my husband, the devil. I just started the church. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'd go home, and the church is full of the devil. Well, you ask them, hey, how's things going? Huh? Hey, how's things going? About what? What I've been worrying about for the last 3 days. What you came in, the devil you're married to. Oh, we're fine. So I found out that people don't mind dumping on you. And I'm okay with that. Except the fact is, I never made my trip to the dump. I would go to Yahweh. Can I tell you something? I used to tell people this. If you know what's wrong with a preacher, where his sin is in his life, listen to what he's preaching on. They're always preaching on adultery and sex and all that. That's their problem. You hear me? I said, that's their problem. There's exceptions to that, of course. Your mouth, out of how your heart, your mouth will talk. I'm telling you my problem. I told you I wanted you to see Yeshua's humanity, which perfect, sinless. And in this book, I want my life to be exposed to you. Even though I acted like and said things when I preached about, I don't care if you want to think, I don't care. You know what? I did care. But I wouldn't show that to nobody. I grew up like that. I have been scared, but I didn't let you see it. I have been certain things, but I wouldn't let anybody see it. You will neglect yourself. You ignore your own needs and your own emotions, your own well-being to take care of others. You will give them your own money. You will give them your precious time. Johnny, how are we going to have ecclesia if that's the case? I'm telling you these things so we can have a healthy ecclesia. Chronic guilt can happen, man. You feel guilty, responsible, because that's how they feel. I'm the pastor, I'm the shepherd, their life's messed up, it must be my fault. I'm exaggerating some of these feelings, but I'm telling you the realities. Let me tell you something this morning. Yeshua's sacrifice gives us the opportunity to get reconciled to Yahweh, not Yahweh getting reconciled to us. We must change. He changeth not. Y'all hear me? Oh, so we go to church, people at church today, what can we do to make you want to get reconciled to Yahweh? Yahweh don't give a blank. Y'all listen to me. He loves the whole world. But he let all of them drown but 8. You got to know who Yahweh is, man. He's not an empath like Johnny is. Next. That's why David said, oh, don't take your hand off of me. Don't remove your spirit from me, Yahweh. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the spirit's gone out of a lot of people, and they don't even know it yet because they still are financially okay. That's usually how they judge it. Well, my wife ain't left me yet, and my kids, maybe whatever it may be. We don't even know. We don't even know. I got to tell you, if I'm going to be honest about it this morning, which I am, I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy that I will never have the relationships I desire or the relationship that I need from people. And I think most of these people can't see their destructive and damaging ways, that they just blow you off. That if I don't need you, then guess what? I'm not going to be effective. See, we got to balance that out. I'm telling you the way far blown out negative side. You may be left brain and you just mean. Somebody said, well, are they this, are they that psychological? I said, no, they mean. You can give them all kind of psychological names of such things if you want to. Some people are so mean, they ain't going to change. You better wake up and smell the coffee. Now, if they're not abusing you or hurting you, that's a whole other thing. You can have a relationship and love people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having a healthy ecclesia. And if we ain't healthy and knowing how to manage our own selves, then all we're going to do is we're going to keep coming to church here with just seeing what we can get out of it, left brain, or over here, right brain, for lack of a better illustration. I'm sad that people don't see their destructive and damaging ways, but you know what? I should have seen it. But no, I'm going to keep on. I'm a lover. I love people. I love that family. I'm going blah, blah. And that's okay. as long as we make sure that it's not in a way that is displeasing to Yahweh and detrimental to ourselves. The fact is, when I see something about me, I don't refuse to address those things. Why? Why? How many of you know that there's things that other people do that bother you? I didn't think so. See, I think if you knew that I knew that what I was doing was hurting you, then I would think, you should think that I would want to stop doing it. Are y'all hearing me this morning? Is this too personal for y'all? I can tell you the 9 requirements of discipleship and what happens when a man dies and the absence from the body. I can tell you all that. But guess what? What if you know that and you can't love nobody? We don't know how to manage love if we don't know that. I mean, those are the 2 greatest commandments. Love God with everything and our neighbor as ourself. Let me tell you what will happen. It always, in the flesh, it always comes to the end, and it's not a good result. There are people that I have babied in this church, and they never last. I want to tell you, you can give them thousands of dollars, you can do it, you can eat with them every day, you can do that. You know what? They ain't going to change. Was that a waste of time? Yeah. It wasn't for me because I did what I should have done. But you look right down to it, I could have spent that time with other people who were serious. People who don't just say, I'll follow you everywhere, and then, I'm with you, I'm where, and they're not. It's happened many, many, many times, right? If I knew what I was doing was hurting you and damaging you, I want to tell you what, I would do everything I could do to stop doing that right now. Would you? And this is what a good friend told me. I just said how my brother said it. Everybody ain't you, Johnny. In a way, I'm mourning that the hope of the idea of having a beautiful, strong, close relationship will ever be resurrected. Some people have come back, and that relationship can die for now and probably forever, because the same things that keep people, if they leave out of your life, it's hard for them to come back to ever admit, hey, forgive me. I know a lot of people watch me, and a lot of people are going to think I'm directing this at my recent relationship, and I am. And I'm relating it to me, to you, and this is not for anybody. This is for everybody. And I just want to say that because, y'all know why. So, patience and grace. I'm trying my best to evolve my perspective and attitude toward my life because I am changing. I am rearranging. I am growing. And you can't really grow until, like the old man told me, until you've been through the fire. Had long hair, stacked shoes, blah, blah, whatever. I had a band when drums were in church were of the devil. I had a drummer, all kind of stuff. I preached and sang, all this kind of stuff. And that old farmer in those overalls said, "You ain't been through the fire." Well, you know what? I'm still in the fire. I got it. He was right. I wouldn't been the fire yet, but I'm going to tell you, when I got in the fire, I ain't out the fire yet. He's still refining me. He's shaping me. He's making me be honest about myself and open. Some people ain't ready for that, and I get it. But the fact is, I wanted you to love me, not some guy I'm presenting up here. And if what I say to you about me isn't to your liking, nothing's going to change. Let me tell you why. Because people going to do what they want to do. And Yahweh, and let me say this, I'm open to everybody. Everybody that walks in that door, I'm going to tell you what I do. I will say, is that Yahweh, is that one for me to be responsible for? Because if it is, I'm responsible for your souls. I take that serious. But I got to tell you, personally, I'm not just going to receive everybody anymore. I'll receive them, but I'm going to be guarded in my heart. You know why? Because I've grown. I'm going to guard my heart. It's too late to guard my children, but I can guard my grandchildren. I can guard my grandchildren. I think my kids turned out all right. Except Josh. He lays out at church all the time. So is that too heavy for y'all? Not heavy for me. Let me tell you what, it's liberating. It's so freeing for me. I want to tell you, I will do anything in the world for you or anybody else. But I don't want to be the spiritual father of 1,000 people. I don't want to be I know why Yahshua picked 12. He's smarter than me. There's all kind of relationships you have. You have to be peace-loving to all men. You have to be empathetic to people. But watch and guard yourself, because you can get your feelings hurt, or you can get really angry when you try to push for a result that ain't going to happen. And you got to relate to that situation for the way it is. So, to me, who I spend my time with now, it's going to be different. People serious? Okay. If they're not, okay, that's fair. I think that's fair for me to say. If y'all think I'm bitter or something like that, please, y'all can call me up and tell me whatever. The reason I don't want to turn that off, because I'm going to be an open book everywhere. And I want people to see inside my life, because Yahweh will get the glory out of everything that we do. Now, bye. I got to tell a secret now. Bye.